For over 5 millennia, Egypt's capitals have stood as icons of human civilization. From the ancient splendor of Memphis to the vibrant chaos of Cairo, these cities have been more than mere places. They've been symbols of Egypt's power, culture, and endurance. But today, Cairo is buckling under the weight of its own grandeur. With over 23 million residents in its metropolitan area, Cairo is a city stretched to its limits, choked by pollution, and paralyzed by endless traffic jams. Now, in one of the most audacious moves in modern urban planning, Egypt has decided to start anew. 45 kilometers east of Cairo in the scorching desert, an entirely new capital is rising. A futuristic city designed to be greener, smarter, and more efficient than its predecessor. Known for now simply as the New Administrative Capital, or NAC, this ambitious mega-project promises to reshape Egypt's future. But why build a brand new city? And can it really solve Cairo's overwhelming challenges? This is the story of the NAC, a bold gamble that could transform Egypt or burden it with insurmountable debt. To understand why Egypt is betting on a new capital, we first need to look at the struggles of its current one. Cairo isn't just big, it's colossal. Its population has exploded from 2.5 million in 1950 to over 23 million today, a staggering number that continues to climb. The city is growing so fast that it adds nearly 500,000 people every year. By 2050, projections suggest Cairo could surpass 38 million residents, making it one of the largest cities on Earth. This relentless growth has pushed Cairo to the brink. Traffic is a daily nightmare, with vehicles crawling at a snail's pace through gridlocked streets. Downtown Cairo, the hub of Egypt's government, is often paralyzed by security lockdowns during state visits, grinding the entire city to a halt. The air is thick with pollution, so bad that it's directly responsible for an estimated 18,000 premature deaths every year. Housing is another major issue. Cairo's poorest residents cram into overcrowded and crumbling apartments, while the city's edges sprawl endlessly into the desert. For years, planners and politicians have tried to alleviate the pressure with satellite cities like New Cairo and 6th of October City. These were meant to draw people and businesses away from the crowded urban core, but they barely made a dent. The population boom continues to outpace any relief efforts, and Cairo's infrastructure is buckling under the weight of its own growth. In 2015, Egypt's government announced a radical solution: build an entirely new capital from scratch. The idea was to shift Egypt's administrative functions and many of its residents out of Cairo, giving the historic city room to breathe. The new administrative capital would not just be a city, it would be a statement. Its planners envisioned a gleaming metropolis of the future, where government, commerce, and modern living could thrive without the chaos and constraints of Cairo. The scale of the NAC is breathtaking. The new city will house over 6 million people in its 21 residential districts. Its centerpiece will be a vast administrative district featuring government ministries, foreign embassies, and a presidential palace. In the heart of the city, a towering skyscraper known as the iconic tower will rise 77 stories into the sky, becoming the tallest building in Africa. Surrounding it all will be lush, green spaces, including a sprawling central park dubbed the Green River, which will be twice the size of New York's Central Park. This isn't just about grandeur, it's about efficiency. The NAC will be a smart city, packed with cutting-edge technology. Thousands of surveillance cameras will monitor the streets, while advanced public transportation systems, including a monorail, will link the new capital with Cairo. In a country plagued by pollution, the NAC will aim to be greener, with 15 square meters of green space allocated per resident. But the NAC isn't just about solving Cairo's problems. It's a vision of a modern Egypt, one that can compete on the global stage. It's no coincidence that the project is overseen by the Egyptian Ministry of Defense, a reminder that this isn't just an urban planning initiative, it's a declaration of national ambition. Of course, dreams come at a cost, and the NAC is no exception. Initially budgeted at $45 billion, the project has already swelled to $60 billion, with construction far from complete. For a country struggling with economic instability, this kind of expenditure raises eyebrows. Since 2014, the Egyptian pound has lost 90% of its value, inflation has soared, and millions of Egyptians live in poverty. Critics question whether building a brand new city in the desert is the best use of resources when so many of the country's citizens face daily hardships. The NAC's defenders argue that this isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Cairo's problems are too vast to fix without dramatic action. A new capital could provide the breathing room Egypt needs to stabilize its largest city, while creating opportunities for economic growth. But critics worry that the NAC risks becoming a gilded enclave for the elite, detached from the struggles of ordinary Egyptians. The price of ambition. Can Egypt's new capital deliver? The new administrative capital, or NAC, is nothing short of breathtaking in its ambition. A city rising out of the desert, designed to showcase Egypt's future. But beneath the glitzy towers and sprawling green spaces lies a storm of controversy. Critics call it a vanity project, a gilded fortress for the elite, and a financial time bomb. Supporters, however, see it as a lifeline for an overcrowded Cairo and a symbol of national pride. So, will the NAC be Egypt's crowning achievement? Or is it destined to become a ghost town in the sand? To answer that, we must take a closer look at the growing criticisms, the financial stakes, and the deeper motivations driving this colossal endeavor. One of the NAC's most glaring criticisms is who it's really for. While it promises to house 6 million people, many Egyptians fear they won't be among them. The cost of living in the NAC is expected to be significantly higher than in Cairo, making it unaffordable for large portions of Egypt's population. The glittering apartments, high-tech amenities, and pristine streets seem tailored for the wealthy and the politically connected. Cairo, in contrast, is a city of contrasts. Its streets buzz with life, from wealthy neighborhoods like Zamalek to the sprawling, chaotic informal settlements on its outskirts. But the NAC doesn't seem to have space for this vibrant mix. Critics argue that it risks becoming an exclusive enclave for the elite, while the millions of Cairo's poorest residents remain trapped in overcrowded and crumbling conditions. This disparity is already visible. As of 2024, fewer than 1,000 families have moved into the NAC. Despite the rapid pace of construction, its gleaming towers and wide boulevards feel eerily empty, a futuristic ghost town in the making. There's another side to the NAC that has raised eyebrows: its militarized design. The project is overseen by Egypt's Ministry of Defense, and at its heart lies the Octagon, the world's largest military headquarters. Spanning over 22,000 acres, this massive complex is more than just an administrative hub. It's a fortress. The city's layout itself reflects this strategic thinking. Its wide boulevards and open spaces make it difficult for mass protests to form, unlike Cairo's dense downtown, where demonstrations brought the city to a halt during Egypt's 2011 and 2013 revolutions. Thousands of surveillance cameras will monitor the NAC, creating an environment where any potential dissent can be swiftly identified and controlled. For critics, this isn't just a new capital, it's a way for Egypt's leadership to shield itself from the unrest that has rocked the nation in the past. Perhaps the most alarming challenge facing the NAC is its price tag. Initially projected to cost $45 billion, the project has already ballooned to $60 billion, with no clear end in sight. For a country grappling with soaring inflation, a devalued currency, and high poverty rates, this level of spending has sparked widespread outrage. Egypt isn't a wealthy oil state like Saudi Arabia or the UAE, which have built their own glittering desert cities. Instead, it's a nation struggling to balance its books. The war in Ukraine, the COVID-19 pandemic, and regional instability have all dealt heavy blows to Egypt's economy, cutting into tourism revenue and disrupting trade. Critics argue that every dollar spent on the NAC is a dollar not spent on alleviating poverty, improving healthcare, or addressing the overcrowding in Cairo's poorest neighborhoods. Some of the NAC's more extravagant features have drawn particularly sharp criticism. Take, for example, the Mizr Mosque, the largest mosque in Africa, complete with the tallest pulpit in the world and a chandelier weighing over 24,000 kilograms. While undoubtedly impressive, its construction cost the equivalent of $21 million in a country where inflation recently hit 30% in a single month. For many Egyptians, this kind of spending feels deeply out of touch with their daily struggles. Despite the controversies, Egypt's leadership insists the NAC is essential. The city, they argue, will drive economic growth, attract foreign investment, and alleviate the immense strain on Cairo. And there are signs of optimism. In 2023, Egypt declared the NAC a special economic zone, offering tax breaks and incentives to businesses. The government hopes this will transform the city into a hub for innovation and commerce, potentially creating jobs and driving development. But success is far from guaranteed. Similar projects in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah Economic City, have struggled to deliver on their promises. The NAC faces the same risks. If it fails to attract residents and businesses, it could become a monument to overreach, an empty city in the desert, draining resources that Egypt can't afford to lose. The NAC's fate is still uncertain. Will it rise as a symbol of Egypt's future or crumble under the weight of its own ambition? Much will depend on whether it can overcome its financial challenges, attract a diverse population, and deliver on its promises of modernity and efficiency. For now, the city remains a work in progress, its towers gleaming under the desert sun, waiting to see if the people and the prosperity will come. One thing is certain, the story of the NAC is far from over. Whether it becomes a beacon of hope or a cautionary tale, its impact on Egypt's history will be profound. As Cairo continues to grow and Egypt grapples with the challenges of the 21st century, the new administrative capital stands as a bold and risky attempt to rewrite the future. And so the NAC rises, a city of dreams, of contradictions, and of staggering ambition. What do you think? Is this the solution Egypt desperately needs? Or is it doomed to fail? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about the world's most ambitious mega projects.